Over the last couple of years, I have absolutely learned a completely new meaning of the word focus. And earlier in my career in building my team, focus was something I absolutely did not have. I thought I was focused, and what I've learned over time is that I get more and more focused. And the more focused I get, the faster the business grows. So in today's episode, what I'm going to be talking about is basically the new definition of focus that I've had for this particular year in 2025, and I'm sharing with this the new goal setting strategy that we've adopted this year. And I can already tell 5-6 months into the year that it is going to make a massive difference. Now, if you're new to this, my name is Christian. I'm a team leader and owner of Onyx Homes, and this podcast is specifically for team leaders. And really, this is just me documenting me building my company here at Onyx Homes and hoping that you might be able to learn some of the lessons from me, so you don't have to go through them the hard way yourself. Now, the absolute best possible inside look at this is getting on my email list. The link's going to be in the description below. You can also get it through my Instagram as well too. So if you want to follow me there, it's just at Christian Stubbs. So let's go ahead and get into this. Over the last couple of years, I'll give you a really quick recap. Is in May, I'm filming this in May, so this is perfect timing. So in May of 2023, so 2 years ago from the time that I'm filming this, I had just bought out my business partner, and it was really at this point not starting over, but deciding to double down and make 100% that this was the business that we're growing, and to do things the right way, change a lot of the problems that we had in the past. And I waited till that buyout was officially done, because who knew what could have possibly happened with the company. So from May of 2023 to May of 2025, here's what changed. We did about $2 million in revenue in that year, back in 2023, with about 16 agents. And today we are on pace to do about $6 million in revenue this year, so 3x in revenue. And we have 62, for whatever the number is, agents on our team right now. So over 60 agents. And that is I don't know what that, 5x in 5 or almost 6x in 8. Yeah, probably 4 or 5x in agent count, 3x in revenue, and profit margins have increased, right? So I went from a business that I was not enjoying running because of all kinds of different things to totally different. And there was one major thing that has changed, which was focus. And in the last 2 years, I've been more focused than I ever have been, and I have been more focused as time goes on. I know I'm saying the word focus a lot here, but there's a reason for it. It is the only thing I think that really took us out of the company just not even making sense, like just losing money, not making sense, not enjoying running the company, and focusing on the one thing at a time that we knew grew the business, and fixing one thing at a time. So focus has been my key word for the last 2 years. And this year, in the beginning of 2025, I thought I was going to have a new word for the year. And I'm halfway through the year here, and I'm not having a new word for the year. It is focus again. So here's the new twist or new flavor that I am looking at it now versus how I've looked at focus in the past. So if I zoom all the way back out to early, even before 2023, we would try to do all the things. So we would go to a conference, and I would have one of these notepads, and it would be totally full from brim to brim of notes, because I do a very good job of taking notes of these things. I actually have all my notepads right over here. And what I would do is I would put basically a checklist at the very beginning of this of things that I wanted to do. And then I would literally check things off. So we'd come back from a conference, 2-day event, let's just say, and I would have 60 things that we needed to do and implement into our business. So in 2020, we would have said, okay, these are the 60 things we need to do. And we're not like, we're doing them and whatever. So what ended up happening was we did a lot of things. We added a lot of infrastructure. We added new stuff to the business. And we did everything poorly because we were spread so thin, right? We were the jack of all trades and master of none was an understatement, because we were constantly doing new things, right? So that was the first maybe 2 years of running the business. And then I realized, like, hey, wait a second. We're actually just really good at a few things, and let's just do more of that. So then we got more focused, right? And then 2023 rolled around, and I was like, okay, I know that having high standards, constantly recruiting to the company, and focusing on a culture of productivity is going to be the thing. And then lead generation, right? That's really what we do well. And we focused on those things over the last years. And that's how we've been able to grow the company. Now, that's me going from one extreme to what I think now is on the other extreme of this, is when we did business planning at the beginning of the year, and I did an episode on this, is we set, however many initiatives. And if you're familiar with any of my content from a team leader perspective, we run EOS, right? So the Entrepreneur Operating System, where you set a 10-year vision, a 3-year picture, and then you have a 1 year, like your actual goals for the year, and then you break that down into quarterly rocks or projects, if you will. So and what has always ended up happening was we implemented this about 3 years ago, and this is really what helped us focus. And what has happened is we will set, let's say, 10 goals for the year, and then each quarter we'll have 5, maybe 3 to 5 rocks, probably more like 5 rocks. And what ends up happening is we get about 80% of this stuff done, and that is made for a massive increase in the business, right? 3xing revenue from 2 million to 6 million is huge, and increasing profit margin, all of those things. That's all really good. However, the 20% of the goals that we didn't accomplish were probably the most important ones. So let me share an example. There is probably, and this is the big epiphany, this is like the one note you might want to take from this, is there's probably one thing you can do in your business right now, and not necessarily right now, but there's one thing you can do in your business that would make any of the other goals completely irrelevant. So if you focused your efforts on accomplishing just that one goal, the other goals probably wouldn't matter at all, right? So all of your focus, this is the big change we've had, all of the focus really should be going towards that absolute number one most important thing. So tactically, we still set, let's say, 10 goals for the year, but we literally put them in order, and they're not necessarily even for the year. It's, here are the goals that we would love to accomplish this year. And the number of goals just gets shorter and shorter every year, because we realize how few things we can actually do if we're moving big projects forward. So the big unlock was actually ordering these things in order of importance. So meaning that we set goal number 1, and if goal number 1 doesn't happen, we don't even think about goal number 2. And if goal number 1 doesn't happen, we don't even need to worry about what goal number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are, because they're irrelevant. Meaning that if the number 1 goal was accomplished for the year, and that was the only thing we got accomplished, there's probably something in your business that could be that big of an impact that nothing else would matter, right? For example, if let me exaggerate to drive the point home. If I just said, hey, if we had 1,000 agents on our team, that was the only goal, was to recruit to 1,000 agents. If we accomplished that, we would definitely grow the business. Like, I don't even care how quality of the agents, we would sell more houses, and the business would grow if we did that. Now, is that the goal? No, that's not the goal at all. But I use that as an example. And what our actual goal is, our absolute number 1, and if you know me, I'm a huge on recruiting, and we still recruit. You still have to run the business. However, the absolute number 1 thing that would completely change our business is if we could have in-house deal flow that is from our advertising, specifically organic advertising, that will lead to deal flow that is way better margins for the business, that allows us to reinvest even way more money, and it is something that these types of leads convert at a way higher rate. So, for example, for the last 2 years, we have run a relocation YouTube channel, right? So this generates, generally speaking, buyer leads of people who are relocating to Orange County. All About OC is the brand for this. And we've been doing this for 2 years, and it's generated several $100,000s in GCI. Now, that might sound like a lot, but relative to the millions of GCI that we do every year, it's not a very big percentage of our business at all. It's also not a big focus at all. It's kind of been like, hey, let's do this thing because we know it's going to work in the long run, but we need to do all this other stuff too, right? So it was kind of like, it was this thing we've done, and thank God stayed consistent with it, but it wasn't the main thing, and generated several $100,000s in GCI, and probably the highest ROI, because we haven't really spent very much time or money on, maybe time because I have to film everything, and my marketing manager has to make the outlines and stuff like that, but not a lot of the resources. So what we ended up deciding was, well, shoot, if these leads come in and convert at like 20%, which is way higher than any other source you're really going to find, let's call it 10% even, really, really high quality. Also, way higher average price point than any other deal flow we had. So adding those two things together, it was like, gosh, what if we had 500 of those leads coming in a month as opposed to 2? Do you think that would make a meaningful difference in the business? And the reality is, one, with no referral fees off of the top, the margins on those deals are significantly better. That versus a Zillow deal, and the average price point's higher, and the commission's higher, and they convert at a higher rate. It takes 4 Zillow deals or anything with a referral fee on it to equate to one deal like this, right? So it's a huge difference in margins. So we basically said that, hey, if we had hundreds of leads coming in that convert at this rate of what we've already seen, that would make a wild impact on the business. Even if the business didn't grow in deal size, or rather in volume and units, which it would, and even if we didn't recruit as many agents because all of our focus was on this one thing, it would completely change the business. So since the beginning of this year, that has been the only thing we care about. Yes, we're still running the business. We're still recruiting. We're still doing Zillow. We're still doing all the other things that we do. But that thing is where most all of the major resources are going. So 100% of my marketing manager's time is going there. All of my ancillary time is going towards this as well too. That like I'm making the content, but I'm not editing and stuff like that. But all the extra time from our company's resources is going towards this one thing. Now, that has allowed us to, one, stay actually focused. So very, very focused. So when I might have some random idea that my marketing manager is like, hey, is this more important than that? I'm like, no, absolutely not. This over here, the organic content, is the absolute most important thing right now. If that's the only thing we get done this entire year, it'll be absolutely worth it. So what has ended up happening is we've been live with this for about 45 days at the time that I'm filming this, maybe closer to 60. And we are already seeing maybe a 5x increase in lead flow and this is the important part, probably a 100x increase, maybe a 10x increase rather, on actual like traffic to the landing page. Meaning from YouTube, we were getting however many clicks to the landing page. It's 10x already in 45 days. So it has been a meaningful impact. And now we're dealing with, hey, how do we handle DMs? How do we handle this, right? So we're solving these problems one at a time, because this is where all of the focus is going. So the reason that I wanted to talk about this today is because it has been a common theme for me to say that focus is the reason why we grew the company 30% this year. And I've said this now for 3 years in a row. We're on pace to grow at least 30% this year as well too. And the market hasn't increased at all. The market has been flat for the last 3 years. We're up 30% year over year. And it's because of this focus. Now, I very seriously think that we are going to have a massive jump in the business next year, because we're going to accomplish this goal this year. It's the only thing we're going to accomplish. We're going to get meaningful deal flow through organic content, and that is going to equate to more leads coming in at a higher margin, higher quality leads. That is going to be maybe even at a higher price point, which is something we're already seeing, and that will completely change the business. And next year, and maybe we don't hit our recruiting goal. So number 2 on our list is to hit. We would need to get to 80 minimum, 100 ideally agents, and we're sliding on that. And the reality is, I know what we need to do in order to fix to hit that recruiting goal. However, that's a problem I already know how to solve, but I would have to take away resources from the number 1 thing in order to solve the number 2 thing. And that is something that I've done my entire career. And if you're watching to this point, that is the thing that I've done my entire career so far, is I pulled resources from the most important thing that's the harder problem to solve, and I've taken those resources and solved a problem that I like to solve, or a problem that's easier to solve. And while solving problems is good and that's how you build business and that's how you grow and make money, solving the hardest problem is probably going to pay you more, meaning it's going to make your business grow more, it's going to make your business better, all of those different things. So that is the big lesson that I have had, is even just saying this out loud right now, is choosing not to pull the resources away from the goal number one to allocate those to goal number two. It's okay if goal number two doesn't get hit. But if we hit goal number one, and as a byproduct we can't hit goal number two also, I would much rather have that than not hit goal number one and hit goal number two, because that's what we've done over the last handful of years. Yes, again, we've grown the company 30% year over year over year over year. However, we have missed that in-house deal flow. And if we would have had in-house deal flow 2 years ago, we probably would be twice the size we are now. So this is where it's like and we hear this a lot. Alex Hormozy's been talking about this a lot as well too, which is probably, this is why I implemented it, but it's probably why it's super front of mind for me also, is it's how could you grow the company in a order of magnitude, meaning like way bigger, right? I'm thinking 30% is good. And I'll go talk to other business owners who are like, oh, you should like try to 5x your business. And it's like, oh my God, what would have to happen? Here, that's the question you have to ask. If you cannot, let me pivot here, is if you cannot figure out what the number one thing should be, ask yourself the question, what would have to happen for me to 5x the business? And I really was like, well, we could just grow 10% year over year over year. And like, yeah, we could do that, 30%, whatever the number is. But if I had to 5x the business, the question was like, well, would we just 5x agents? And it's like, no, I actually don't think 5xing agents would do it. Would we grow the business? Yeah, for sure. But I don't think it would be the best way to do. I don't think it would be the best thing to do. I don't even know if it would work to just 5x agents and not 5x, for example, deal flow. So I think we could 2x deal flow and 5x the business. So, and that is a order of magnitude change to the business, where if we added in an additional 20, 50, 100 deals from organic leads, which I'm not throwing these numbers out completely randomly. There are other agents that do this in other markets. There's agents that do this, maybe not, I don't know, in our market, but there's definitely agents that do 10, 20, 30, 40 deals a year from content in our market. And if they can do it, there's no reason we can't. And if we're running the exact same playbook that these other people are running and they're sharing it, are we stealing stuff? I don't know. Who knows anymore? But we're running exact playbooks that are already working. So this isn't some fantasy land pipe dream. This is just doing the basics at a high level consistently on something we were already doing. We were just doing it on YouTube, and now we're doing it on social as well too. So if you're trying to figure out what you should be focusing on, I would highly recommend asking yourself that question. What would I have to do to 5x the business or 10x the business? And the answers that you'll have to come up with are going to be a little bit different than, well, I would just do this. Like just do more of the same stuff. Because if the answer is as simple as just doing more of what you're already doing, then I mean, what are we doing? Just do more of it. Now, for me, for example, the kind of light bulb went off when we were having a conversation about Zillow, for example, is we said, well, shoot, if they were sending us 100 leads a month, which they were in January, they were sending us about 100 leads a month. What would happen if they sent us 500? And it's like, well, we would sell more houses. Duh. It's like, could you handle 500 leads? It's like, I don't know. We would recruit agents and then we'd be able to handle it. So like we'd figure it out. And that's with any lead source. Zillow, however you feel about Zillow, it doesn't matter. Any lead source is the same conversation. So we were like, well, if the only problem is we don't have enough deal flow, it's like, is Zillow where we want to focus? Is Realtor.com where we want to focus? Is it somewhere else? And we decided that organic content was the way to do it because there's no referral fees and all those things. So that is how we came to the conclusion that for us, it was organic content was the main thing. That doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. Having said that, we're also doing Google pay-per-click and running that through our ISA department. So that's not anything new. It's something we've done in the past and we turned it back on. We know how to do that. We're running an ISA department and we plugged and played somebody else's ISA department. They shared exactly how they do it. We just copy and pasted it. So nothing we're doing absolutely at all is revolutionary. It's focusing on the one thing. So our one thing is organic or in-house deal flow is what we're calling it. And a huge portion of that's going to come from organic. We are also doing paid. We rebuilt the ISA department, which that was a 30-day project in this in-house deal flow is the only thing we're focusing on. building out the ISA department was required in order to do this. We did the Google pay-per-click, or rather we are doing the Google pay-per-click to get hundreds of leads through it right now, so that when we are getting hundreds of leads also from organic content, we already have the machine built there as well too, and we're going to make money from it that way. And the agent, we're still recruiting. We've grown from 40 to 60 agents so far this year. We are just not recruiting at the pace to hit our number 2 goal, which is to go from 80 to 100, or rather to get to 80, somewhere between 80 and 100. So the reason we're not going to hit that goal is because I am refusing to take the resources away from priority number 1 to move them to priority number 2. Priority number 2, recruiting, is an easier problem for us to solve. Priority number 1 is a harder problem for us to solve, and that's why we need to keep the focus there. So part of this is just me talking to myself, reconfirming that this is the right thing to do, is to keep on this absolute number 1 goal. Because again, if we accomplish this goal, recruiting agents will not be a problem whatsoever. It's not that it is to begin with, but it definitely won't be if we have way too many leads to handle. Really good problem to have. So I hope this was helpful. Focus has been the absolute number 1 thing that has completely turned my life around, but the business for sure. So like I said, this podcast is specifically for team leaders, maybe broker owners that are looking to grow their business, and I'm just sharing my story along the way. So if you want the closest possible look at this, jump on my email list. The link is going to be wherever. Go ahead and click on that, and I will see you in the next episode. Again, that was another episode of me sharing my story of building Onyx Homes from start to finish. I'll see you in the next one.